Welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show on this wonderful Wednesday. Schlegs, we're right in the thick of camp now. The Buckeyes have been enrolled, or not been enrolled. They've been, reported about a week ago on Wednesday. First practice on Thursday. Had Monday off. Practice yesterday. Now back in the practice again today. And anytime you're in like that week, now granted they had a little off day, and that's just kind of how it works now. But you start getting into that mode, like the grind is starting to set in, and they're trying to work their way through that. And this is a big week. You're a couple of days in, and it's moving week for these guys. They've got to come out and find a way to make sure that I was listening, some of the coaches talking about this. Like, this is the week you can make movement after this, but this is the big week where you want to make sure you get all your mistakes cleaned up. Everything that's happening out there is obviously being graded. It's going into the calculus of how the offenses and defenses are going to be built, who's going to be playing a lot. And this is a week where you want to stop making any of the same mistakes and start making plays and show the coaches productivity and also consistency.
This is the week. This is the week that they've been training for, and they've already been acclimated. You have the pads on. You've already been doing OTAs throughout the summer conditioning. This is where we get to see who plays ball, because there's no more 7-on-7 routes on air, cans, like you do that. But everything's already been installed in the spring, and now they're fine-tuning who are going to be those pieces and what do we do best. What is the foundation for us as an offense and as a defense? How can how do you flash, right? How do you flash, but flash consistently? And this is more for the younger guys, because there is a lot of other younger guys, but how they do in the special teams, how they do on scout team, how they do when they get their opportunity to go in and, like you said, Bob, make plays. That guy just always makes plays. We can clean some of those things up. The veteran guys, are they consistently at that level every single day? Because sometimes the margin's going to be very slim as to who the starter is and who is the backup. And this is where we find that out. I mean, unlike professional football where you get 3 preseason games, and unlike high school or junior high where you're getting, 2 preseason games to get going and kind of figure it out, good on good, live on live, like you have to do it in a control confines of no preseason, on your own, getting ready for what people have said is the biggest opening day game in college football, So like that is what the expectation is. So it's already at a heightened level. And how do you handle that because you are at Ohio State? All those things are going in right now this week.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting as we watch this and kind of
what are you most interested in, Bob, as far as it because you and AJ came in and you guys had some veteran dudes as freshmen. Veteran dudes, right? Wilhelm C. Then it's your sophomore year. And what did that feel like? Because a lot of these guys are younger. What did that feel like going into that sophomore season for you when it was like, okay, now I have an opportunity? Turbo was still there, right? Like you had some older guys. You're young. How did that feel as you were going into this same situation that a lot of our guys are experiencing?
So it's an interesting mindset. I'm glad you bring that up. Like your freshman year, I don't want to say you're trying to survive, but there's so many things going on. You're trying to learn, get better. You're drinking from a fire hose is what my brother would always say, about young players like that. And, it's hard. If you're getting half of it in, then that's great. Sophomore year, you've had a whole off season. You've had spring ball. You've had a summer conditioning. And now they have OTAs and all this other stuff and more time to learn it. But you feel confident in knowing your scheme at this point. And then it's a function of coming in and like, where are you at physically? Do you feel like you can go out there and make plays? So for me going out there my sophomore year, it was, how do I show everybody that I belong? Like, I need to be ultra consistent, not make mistakes, number one. But then I need to start making some impact plays. I got to get off blocks. I got to know what to do. And I got to prove to the coaches, like, when you call my number, I'm going to go produce for you. Like, I'm going to be a highly productive player because that's what they want to see. They're going to get guys on the field that have high levels of production. And so that, this week, like for me, if I was a sophomore going into this, I would look at it as an opportunity saying, this is a chance for me to kind of separate myself. Like I'm trying to think like who would be, guys that could potentially be in that situation that have been here for a year, have maybe played a little bit. Problem is, like a lot of those guys are already juniors.
But it's the same. It's the same thing.
Like Peyton Pierce. Peyton Pierce, I think, is a good example.
Yes, he is.
Sonny and Arvell play a lot more. Peyton Pierce is a guy who you've got two really other skilled guys in your room. And if you're Peyton Pierce, you're thinking, how do I differentiate myself? How do I force them to get me on the field? Because it would be easy. Like if you had a lazy coach, he's just going to say, okay, these are my two best players. I'm going to play them. They're really darn good. However, like you look at this, and it's something Ryan's looked at, and James and Matt Patricia, and like Tim Walton, like all these guys look at this together, and they try to think like, hey, how can I differentiate myself? How when I get my chance to get out there? Because they're going to roll you with the one some because they want to see how you respond. Like they want to put you with other good players. Do you still flash? When you have good players around you, do you play better? Things are a little cleaner as a linebacker. The fits are a little easier. Other guys are doing what they're supposed to do, so you don't have to worry about people blowing assignments. Like I'd say Peyton Pierce is in that. Bryce West, Aaron Scott, also guys in there. Guys who have played some, highly recruited dudes, saw them last year. Like, how do you prove to the coaches? Because they've got guys ahead of them too. You've got Davidson Igbanus and IGB, who's really good. You got Jermaine Matthews, also really good. But if you're those guys coming in, like you played a little bit last year, you're part of the team, you showed some stuff in the spring. Now, when you get out there, how do you let them know they can trust you? How do you prove to them on a day in and day out basis that you know what to do? And then when the ball's thrown your way or when there's an opportunity for a tackle, you go make a play. When they put you in a critical situation where everybody, this Schlegs, there's points in every defense and in every call, and it's the same way on offense, where depending on what you get the other side, you're going to be the keystone of that play. Like how well you hold up is how well the team is going to hold up because all the pressure's on you. Every call's got someone else that's got some bigger pressure, but if the pressure's all on you, do you go out there and perform? Can you go out there and perform against other high end when they go good on good, ones on ones, and you get a matchup with an elite tight end or elite running back or one of the big time receivers? Like, do you know what to do? Or are you going to bust the call and the moment going to be too big? Or when you get a chance to make a play, are you going to be able to make that play? You put yourself in there. And you look physical and all those things. That was kind of my mindset, Schlegs, like leaning into that of trying to figure out, okay, they've seen a little bit of me. I think they believe in me. Now, how can I find that trust? How do I get them to trust me, to put me in, to spell somebody and get myself into that rotation?
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on, Bob. And that's where it's hey, that guy goes out, right? You're mentioning a Peyton. And he knows all the calls. He knows Mike and Will. Like it doesn't matter who you put out there. He's directing traffic. He's vocal. He has a presence. And guess what? He makes the plays that he's supposed to make, but he can also overcome somebody else's mistake, whether it's through communication or they don't know what's going on, but he knows that he can command it. And I'm going to say from even like a transfer perspective, like you talk about, you said Peyton, but it's that's what guys have right now. It's how do we put our best 11? This is offense and defense, guys. How do we put our best 11 on there? Who are our pieces that can play multiple things that could give us the best opportunity to play the best 11, right? And we were very fortunate. You had Dante Whitner, you had Nate Sally, B. Mitch played because we ran a lot of nickel and you went to a 5 technique because you had a skill set. You're a big dude that was very athletic, and we could go from an underfront to an overfront to a nickel front seamlessly and still play great run defense, which we had the best run defense in the country that year, while also playing nickel 80% of the time because we had a really physical safety and it allowed you to set the edge on the backside. We had a safety that, not very big, could set the edge, to a 11 personnel tight end. Like, so that's what they're looking for. And as a transfer, like Ethan is a guy like kind of like me, older guy that comes in. It's just like you got to show out like, hey, we got to have this guy on the field, and that's your job. But when you get that opportunity, you're older, you've had a lot of game experience, but now there's a time through competitive excellence that you got to let it rip. You're like, oh yeah, that's a dude, and we got to put him on the field.
So Ryan talks a lot about trust, and that's the one thing that I always kind of revert back to. And they've got coaches got to be able to trust you because they're trusting you with their jobs, with the success of the play, the success of the team, how hard everybody else has put that work in, and you've got to go out there and represent the best version of yourself and be able to get that done. And like you said, when you're a transfer coming in, like you're always earning trust because you haven't had nearly as long to develop it. So, I mean, your trust rep, the culture rep schlegs, as they like to call them, those things are going to be magnified for you. So whether you're Bo Atkinson or Ethione Anwar or someone like that, where, Philip Daniels, guys that have transferred in, Max Clare, like everybody is going to be magnified when you have an opportunity to do something special because they want to see if it's justified that they brought you in and how you're going to respond in the biggest moments. And are you somebody that can rise to the occasion, or are you someone that, you should have stayed at Rice or Purdue?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Here's the one thing too, guys, regardless of level, Pop Warner, it's a coach's kid. Of course he's playing, right? Pop Warner, junior high, high school, college, and pros. You can't fake the dudes. The dudes watch film. The dudes know. And it's, like you said, Bob, it's also the trust of the coaches backing up what they're saying in every meeting and everything you do, from competitive excellence in the weight room to competitive excellence on the field. That dude just always wins. But how is that guy ahead of that dude?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Because people ask questions in another room, like if you're a defensive back and you're watching the linebackers, like, why is this guy playing over this guy? Like every time we put him in there, he makes a play. Or you're watching a running back, you're like, dude, this guy needs to be on the field more. Like he's really tough, or that, whatever it is. Like you see the same film as everybody else.
Yes, and this is why. And you brought it up. I think it was Monday about everybody watches special teams, but guys, I'm telling you, in the world of NIL and especially like professional football, like it doesn't matter what they're getting paid. It kind of does a little bit as to like where you start, but it's not necessarily where you finish. But they got it, like their jobs are on the line, your teammates' opportunities, right, and success is on the line. Because again, when you have a great team, guys get drafted. So it's like we want the best out there, not only for our team, but also for me, because it's going to make me look better because I can do my job better because that guy's better. So regardless of how much you pay a guy in NIL, right, and we're talking all this stuff, or this guy's making 2.5 now, or this guy's making this now. No, the best can't fake the dudes, period. And that goes back to the trust in the coaches, the culture, the program, and everything that the foundation is laid on.
No dude faking. That's Anthony Schlegel right here. I want to tell you what else is right here. We got Bill Bender coming up next. But first, parents and athletes, protect what matters most with Export mouth guards. They're trusted by professional athletes for themselves and their kids, because my kids got some Export mouth guards designed by an NHL team dentist. Export mouth guards are scientifically tested to help absorb those high-impact hits, protecting your teeth and your brain. Export mouth guards, they have 3 layers of advanced protection. My wife goes, gosh, this is not a cheap mouth guard. I'm like, yeah, well, it's not $1.99 because you don't make it in a pot, but it does have a patented use of carbon fiber. They 3D print that bad boy right to your grill. So it never comes out. It's more protection, better performance, max comfort, and clear communication, so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com today/Bobby and save 15% on your order. If you missed out on the Armory, Export, protect what matters most. Bill Bender, the sporting news, coming up next.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Refine your golf swing effortlessly right from the comfort of your home with Pure AV. There's no tee time required. Pure AV's full swing golf simulators capture your every move with precision, while realistic graphics and immersive environments bring the thrill of the greens indoors. Perfect for practice, play with friends, or hosting upscale events. Discover the flawless blend of sport and luxury. Book your consultation today at pureavcorp.com.
All right, welcome in our guy, Mr. Bill Bender of the Sporting News. And Bill, Tuesday, the coaches poll came out, and I joked the great Jerry Emig is going to be retiring here after like sometime in the spring next year as the SID at Ohio State. And I said this will be his last coaches poll he gets to vote in, which is a little like as a joke, tongue in cheek, because, it's the coaches, the SIDs who's filling this thing out. But, when you saw it, was there any surprises? I know Sporting News, everybody does their own. Is there anything that kind of stuck out to you about it?
Not especially. I thought the top 5 was as expected. I mean, you could flip Penn State and Georgia if you want. 1 and 2, obviously, right on line with what I expected. Texas being number 1, Ohio State being number 2, setting up what I think will be the same in the AP next Monday. And I had to go look. The last time 1 versus 2 played in the opening weekend was Michigan and Notre Dame in 1989 when Bo Schembechler decided to kick the Rocket Ismail twice in the same game, and it didn't work out for Michigan that day. So that's the kind of hype we're going to get around the opener. But like you said with the coaches poll, one of my pet peeves, and I don't have a lot, is the ones that say, polls are meaningless. I just think that's absurd because – part of the college experience is having that number next to the name. I said, I'm more likely to, and I think my friends are more likely to watch a game, say in the SEC, if Ole Miss has a number 12 next to it, they're more likely to watch that than they don't. I think polls they're fun. They give us something to talk about. Are they an indication of what's going to be at the end of the season? In the top 10, yes. I looked this up yesterday, guys. 76% of the teams in the top 10, the AP preseason poll the last 5 years, stayed in the top 10.
Really?
Yeah. So it's not like that. Now, top 25 altogether, we're looking at like 52%. So as you can tell, I'm working on a piece about the value of preseason polls and what they need, but it's a pretty big number.
So how much of that, Bill, do you think is the fact that there's a little bit of inherent bias once you're kind of in the top 10? There's like an anchor for you. So if you're 4th and you lose, you fall to 8th to 12th, you win your way back in. Or is it a function of like, there's a lot of reoccurring characters, the usual suspects, the programs that if you look at it, that if you pulled out a poll from 1980, you have Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, Notre Dame, Clemson and Oregon may be newcomers, but Alabama, LSU, Miami, like those are a lot of the same teams that we've always kind of seen there.
So this is fun. I'm not going to give away too much of the article, but there are 5 teams that have been they were in the AP preseason poll and they were in the final poll each of the last 5 years. There's only 5, and it's who you would expect, right? Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, and then maybe a little bit of a surprise, Notre Dame. Notre Dame's the other one because Notre Dame's always the one, and I knew this growing up. Everybody would say they're overrated to start the season. Well, the last 5 years, that hasn't necessarily been the case. Maybe through the eras before that, but I think Marcus Freeman's done a nice job of they start pretty close to where they finish, and those 5 schools obviously are those recurring characters you're talking about. So when people talk to me about the AP poll, it's like, they do a good job of picking the top 10, and it's that 1 or 2 schools that squeeze in there. Now, picking an entire top 25, I understand why that can be hit or miss. You can't. Last year, I couldn't have predicted that Oklahoma State was going to lose 9 games. The teams that fall out. There's not a person in a planet that isn't a liar that picked Florida State to be that bad last year.
Oh, no. Hey, I'm going to ask you this because Bob and I just got done on the segment. And I know you probably caught a little bit because it said Bill is here. And I don't like it that Pat put Bill. I think Richard. As a matter of fact, I think I met like a nephew or somebody that knew you at a middle school practice. They're like, yeah, I was like, yeah, that's my dude. Like, he is a great human being. Get to do a podcast with him. Anyway, side nugget. So we're talking about guys differentiating yourselves during camp. And this week is so pivotal for positioning yourself for success and the team success. As you've covered football for decades, Bill, and I say it plural, I actually add the plural on there because it's appropriate in this fashion, in this regard. What are some of the things that you realize from somebody that really stepped up and seized their opportunity during this time that differentiated them from their peers to be that starting person?
Well, so first of all, I think you're coaching or helping coach Hudson Curry, who his dad was my college roommate, JD. And I was telling him I was so excited that you're coaching him because he plays the position you guys played. And what better people to learn from than you guys? Schlegs, I'm so excited that you're coaching him, first of all. So you're getting a really good kid there, good family, all those things. And then as far as, you guys talking about differentiating, and then I was thinking about this over the weekend, football from when you guys changed, and I was in college in the late 90s, early 2000s. Think about how much the game has changed from just then it was run the ball to set up the pass. That was the game. It was very hard-nosed. Football, high school football in Ohio, I was trying to explain to my son that I think we threw eight or nine times a game, and that's what most schools did. Versus now where I think teams pass to set up the run. And, the position that you guys play, it's completely changed because you have to be really good in pass coverage. Our All-American team is coming out this week, and you factor in not just a run-stopping linebacker, but you want guys that have a couple interceptions, have a couple pass breakups, are TFL monsters. There's a nice linebacker at Ohio State, Sonny Styles, who, remember, in high school, he was a defensive back, kind of like a walk-up linebacker. He could play linebacker, safety, corner, but, man, he's the type of player that I think's become more prevalent in the game today, and look how he improved last year. It was amazing to see.
So let me ask you this then, Bill. You talked about the preseason team. Are you as confident in the ability to pick the individual players for those preseason All-Americans as where we're at with kind of maybe picking some of those preseason ranked teams?
Yeah, I mean, we kept some of the guys, obviously, when you do these lists, and by the way, Sporting News is one of the 5 outlets that we help determine consensus All-Americans. So I've had plenty of conversations with Jerry over the years about, when schools are promoting guys to be on the All-American team, there's a lot of pressure there. My probably most sleepless week of the season is that couple days before we post the All-Americans. And again, it's something people say, well, it doesn't matter. Well, you get a tree at Ohio State for that. If you're first team, you get recognition forever. And it's awesome when I hear, I'll give you a quick story. Kyle Lewis from Pitt, we picked him first team linebacker last year. He had like 95 tackles, a couple interceptions, 8 sacks, amazing player. And, to hear Pat Narduzzi tell us what it meant for him to be a first team All-American. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on that because we want to pick the right guys. But when we do those discussions, guys like Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith, they're easy, right? Those are not long conversations. It's when you get into, you got 4 good corners and there's only 2 first team guys. Those are the really hard selections that honestly, they cause me a lot of pain.
It's so subjective. And I'm sorry, Slice, because the other piece of that, you mentioned the consensus. So there's 5 for anybody that doesn't know. And then to be a consensus All-American, you have to be on 3 of them, Bill. Is that what it is?
Right. Go ahead.
The unanimous is all 5, correct? I mean, those are big differentiations. Like at a place like Ohio State, people hang their hat on those things.
Correct. And we, Ohio State's always part of our All-American discussion. Every year we'll have a handful of guys. And, I talked about Donovan Jackson last year. I think we had him first team, and a couple big reasons why. Now, obviously, he switched positions. He was playing at an All-American level at another position, switches positions, does that, and he falls right in. He plays at a high level. So we made him an All-American guard because I was like, well, he was playing at that level. Plus, off the field, grade A person, right? So that always helps. And you want to have success stories like that. I know it probably meant something to Donovan to be a first-team All-American, and it showed. So those are the stories I like when we do that, is because you can say these are meaningless lists and all those kind of things. But for me, the All-Americans is way more important than the preseason poll.
Bob, hey, listen, I want to say this to everybody that's out there. I'm looking at the time. So can we get a break so that I can come back with this?
We'll take a quick break.
Yes.
I respect you there, Schleiks. I mean, I thought I was going to give you one more and Bill would bleed over a little bit. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back more with Bill Bender, the Sporting News.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Who doesn't love having everything at their fingertips? With Pure AV's smart home automation, you can seamlessly manage your home's audio, video, lighting, security, and more, all with a simple touch. Create a sanctuary that embodies your unique style and personalized features that bring comfort to every moment. Sit back, relax, and let Pure AV bring convenience and control to your home. Visit us at pureavcorp.com today.
Back with Bill Bender, the Sport News. Go check out his great stuff, putting together a piece that I'm sure. When's your piece on the preseason poll is going to be dropping, Bill?
Well, we'll do that over the weekend, getting ready for the AP poll. But I just wanted to share some of those stats with you guys because you get into that, and when I was kind of digging in, I was thinking I love looking into stats and not knowing what the conclusion was going to be, and you saw that. And like I said, the other thing is like variation. Which schools, we hype them up so much in the preseason. And, like I said, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, they typically close pretty close to where they start. I mean, there'll be some variation. It was interesting to see the variation of some other schools like, Texas A&M, a lot of variation with them. Wisconsin over the years starts pretty high. And then, but I think some of that's a function of the last few years. And, Luke Fickell has this team that they're going to they're probably better off where they're not seeing them coming, and then I think at the end of the Paul Chryst era, some of those teams were probably underachieved a little bit.
Hey, Bill, I want to ask you this because go ahead and throw that up there from the on three. And so, everybody can kind of come out with their top 25, and I don't want you to give yours away yet. So they got this guy, is it Brett McMurphy, Bob?
Pat Murphy, yeah.
Yeah, Pat Murphy? I don't know. Anyways, doesn't matter. I like our Pat better. But they came out Georgia, Penn State, Texas, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, Notre Dame. And I can actually understand cases for all of them. Then we had the coaches. Ohio State's really high up there. Is that thing, and it's really regarding Penn State and where they are, could they have been higher because they do have a lot of guys coming back, but they're still lacking some perimeter, weapons? We also have a new defensive coordinator that's coming in. Is that kind of an effect? Because how I look at this, I'm like, no, I wouldn't have them up there because they haven't beaten Ohio State in 9 years or something like that. And what can a Franklin do? That's how I'm kind of looking at it. How do you look at an Ohio State where they had a lot of veteran guys and they have a lot of upside? Their ceiling is very, very high, but you don't know because of how early we are in camp as to what that's looked like versus teams like a Clemson that you knew how they finished. They finished kind of strong, right? Started slow, finished strong, and they got a lot of dudes coming back and where they sit. How do you balance that when you're making this preseason? Because obviously earlier on you indicated it does matter where you start.
Well, one of the points that was made to me this morning with Ohio State and Texas being number 1 and number 2 is when's the last time the top 2 teams in the country had a new starting quarterback? I think that's something I'm going to go look and try to find out because that is worth knowing. A lot of these national championship contenders, not just Texas and Ohio State, Notre Dame, CJ Carr, LSU. Well, no, LSU has their guy back. Alabama does not. Ty Simpson or whoever they start. aside from Penn State and Clemson, the teams that we've really tucked Georgia as Gunnar Stockton. We have a lot of national championship teams with new quarterbacks. Now, what softens that for Ohio State with me is whoever is starting at quarterback is throwing to 3 NFL receivers.
Yes.
You're throwing to Jeremiah Smith, you're throwing to Carnell Tate, you're throwing to Brandon Ennis, and every time I read or open up my timeline, Brandon is the guy that I'm reading more about, as this potential breakout candidate because he's playing with 2 guys that have already done it. So whoever that quarterback is, I think the job is, I'm not saying it's not still hard, but it's a little bit easier when you're throwing to those 3 guys. So I think there's some room for me for that. And it's the same thing with Arch at Texas. They have a lot of playmakers on the outside, Trey Wisner, Ryan Wingo. They do have a rebuilt offensive line, though, where they lost 4 starters. And I think that's my biggest question about Texas going into that Ohio State game. I know how many guys the Buckeyes lost on defense, but when you lose 4 offensive starters on the line, that's something going into a big stadium like Ohio State. That question will be answered right away, probably on the first series.
So you mentioned, I don't think there was probably ever a time, Bill, where you had this many teams ranked that high without returning quarterbacks. Because that was always kind of the litmus test. Like, hey, you've got a veteran squad, they've got a senior quarterback or, a junior who's coming back who started as a sophomore. But in this transfer portal era, like these teams are patched together now quicker than ever before. It'll be interesting to see if you could, if 5 years from now, are the AP poll results preseason versus postseason as consistent? Because you may have the greatest ingredients ever, but like, do they all fit together and work the same way that you had hoped?
Oh, I totally agree. I'm fascinated. I'll be fascinated to see what it looks like in 5 years with the realigned conferences. And that was one of the things with the playoff data that changed last year is, an 18-team Big Ten and a 16-team SEC changes that dynamic a lot. And so what will the AP pool look like as a result? I think on Monday, you're going to see a lot of Big Ten teams, a lot of SEC teams, that's going to be most of the top 10. But again, and like, this is, again, my soapbox was the other part of it, and you guys live this, is when there's a number 1 next to your name, everybody's coming after you. That's why the field stormings happen, and you can lose a game. But when your school beats number 1 or wears number 1, there's nothing like it in any sport. I mean, the NFL has power pools, but the Chiefs don't go around all year wearing a number 1 next to their name on the ticker. It's something I love about college football. I always will. And, when you go to a MAC school, it was like an honor to be ranked. And I remember OU was ranked a few years ago, and I was super excited about it because I don't think it had happened in my lifetime.
Hey, I got one more fun one for you. So Bobby just turned 42, his Buckeye birthday. He ran the conditioning test, absolutely dominated it. We had a list of, top 10 athletes in Central Ohio since 2000. And you're down in that area, and Bob was ranked number 6 on there. I want you to tell everybody about the coming out party and the expectation of one Bobby Carpenter and where he stacks up on that list of Central Ohio products that you've seen.
I mean, like Lancaster, Ohio, there's not too
the
many.
Golden Gales,
right? Like when I think,
this. Let's go.
Well, Lancaster, Ohio, like Golden Gales. I mean, to me, and I know he's right here, but it's like his dad, Rob, Rex Kern, and Bobby. That's who you think about. That's who you hear about when you grow up in Lancaster. Obviously in Central Ohio, I would say when I was in high school, which was a couple years before Bobby, the legend around Central Ohio to me was, and I got to see him play a couple times. Andy Katzenmoyer was incredible. Yeah. Like he was so good in high school that it didn't seem real, and then when he went to Ohio State and started doing those things immediately, what an incredible high school player he was. There's a random one too around that time. His name was Nick Goins. He played in Dublin. Oh, yeah. He went. I think he ended up with the Carolina Panthers at some point. So those are the guys that were my age. I mean, and then obviously in that Lancaster, Fairfield County area, Bobby, Rob. I mentioned Rex Kern. Obviously he was around my dad's age, so he was somebody I heard about all the time growing up, and obviously the legacy that those guys carried into Ohio State, into the NFL. Those are the ones that we start with in Lancaster. I'm just the lowly sports writer that tailed behind them. But it's fun to watch those stories and watch those guys do well. There's no question.
I appreciate it, Bill. Thank you for the kind words. I always say I'm a distant fourth, probably at least a distant third or fourth, though, to General Sherman on the fame train down there. So we got some good ones. We appreciate the time, sir. I know you're busy. You've got NFL, college, everything, the confluence of all of this stuff happening. So we appreciate you carving out some time for us. Look forward to talking next week.
Hey, we'll do it again next week, guys. Have a great week.
Bill Bendersley's doing a great job. Thankfully, I didn't have to compete against Andy because it was just from 2000 on because Andy's one of the biggest freak shows that, as you know, you've ever
I
been
had
around.
that paper. I had the USA Today high school paper. I think it was like 97.
Yeah.
And Tim Couch, number 2, was the quarterback, and the defensive player was Katzenberg.
It would have been, the 95, like heading into 96, somewhere in there.
That's what it was, like going into my freshman year.
Yeah, because that was Andy's first year at Ohio State was 96, and I think Couch, that was the same thing for him at Kentucky. And those guys were like the USA Today Players of the Year, and they were I had that same thing laminated.
I did.
And hanging in the weight room, man. Those were the numbers you were looking for to try to get to if you wanted to be the guy. Speaking of numbers, break down some numbers here coming up next about the girthiness legs of some of these dudes getting thick in the weight room and how that's going to transfer to them being able to play this year on the field. But first, let's tell you about our friends over at Backer. That's bckr.com. Premium Buckeye gear for premium Buckeye fans. The wind, the rain, the cold gear that you're looking for, the hats, the coats, they've got it all. It has all the features that you're looking for. Not only does it look great, it feels great. I love wearing it. And thankfully, I haven't had to wear it in a while, the rain gear here this summer. But come this fall, folks, you're going to need it. So go check it out. They've got other teams there too, but you're going to want the Buckeye stuff. That's bckr.com. Backer, use promo code all caps, BOBY at checkout. And they're going to be able to hook you up with free expedited shipping. How about that? That's bckr.com. Backer, go check them out. Headlines coming up next.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Smart home automation has never looked so good. When you visit the Pure AV Design Center, you'll be immersed in the epitome of sophistication and state-of-the-art home automation technology. Flawless design, exquisite materials, unparalleled craftsmanship. You deserve nothing less than the pinnacle of perfection. Discover what you've been missing at Pure AV on Killian Road in Akron or online at pureavcorp.com.
Welcome back in to the Bobby Carpenter Show. We've got our headlines brought to you by our friends at Lake Spur Marketing. They're going to use their 100-plus combined years of experience to choose marketing strategies, tools, and products that are right for your business. They will shield you from the cold callers that are always trying to pitch the latest and greatest gimmicks. Do not worry about those. Stick to the tried and true methods and leave the marketing to our friends over at Lake Spur so you can do what you do best, which is run your business. Lake Spur Marketing will eliminate waste so you get the most out of your budget to help save you money and deliver on time. Trust the experts. Trust Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in their partners. Visit lakespurmarketing.com today. I think this was courtesy of 11 Warriors. They went through there and they tried to find the deltas, if you will, in weights from last year to this year. So the delta, the change, an increase, maybe a decrease, depending on what you're looking for. And some of the early enrollees are always the most interesting because those are guys that make those big jumps. Finally, you get to a college weight room, you get to a college nutrition department and food department. Like, dude, they're going to feed you what you need and as much of it as you can handle to help get you girthy. And one of the guys who is amazing, who's probably going to have to play and be ready to go. A lot has been talked about Riley Pettijohn at linebacker, but TJ Alford, another guy, 21 pounds up, defensive end Zion Grady, 16 pounds up, and Bogpen Miller, BP as they call him, is up 12 pounds. And that Schlegs is just from January 1 until August 1st.
Yeah, if you go look at some of these guys on this list of like plus 27, plus 22, plus 31, you're like, how could that even be? Guys, I'm just telling you, man, parents and athletes, okay? So when you come out of high school and all you do is just, hey, I got a football practice today, and oh, I got a lacrosse practice today, and hey, why is my kid not putting on any size? Well, it's because you're doing way too much. Like, you got to stress the tissue and you got to rest it and recover and just eat big, sleep big, train big to get big. Like, that's what happens. And now you go to college and you're eating and you're sleeping and you're being held accountable. And every day you got to make it a great day. And so that's where the secret sauce happens. I mean, you look at, I'll put on here, like Peyton Pierce, I just looked like he's still 223. Not true. Like some of these might have been a little plus or minus, right? Regardless, but the guys have made great gains. And this is just one of those KPIs that you look at. And I'll give you another little side.
How about this? Bennett Christensen, like, because people always think that it's just gaining weight is appropriate. It's really, we'll call it your mass allocation. Like what is actually the weight comprised of?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, are we doughy or are we lean? Are we fitting the position and body type that we need? And like your guy, Bennett Christian and Christian Bennett, together they have lost 10 pounds. And if you look at him, he looks as big or bigger than last year because he probably shed some of those unwanted LBs around the waist, leaned up, probably actually gained muscle mass in the process. And that's the body by Maradi effect.
Yeah, and it's funny. We're talking I'm here at the Armory. I did a DEXA scan 14 months ago. My DEXA scan's somewhere over here. But anyways, I did it, and it was like, okay, 14 months ago, I was 214 at 15% body fat. Then it was like nothing was happening. Why? Like, why? My training's really good. Obviously, I know why my diet wasn't great. I'm traveling, whatever. Found out, Sleep Study Ohio, Sleep Institute, because I was like, there's a reason for this outside of my diet and travel, and it was because I had sleep apnea. And then over like the course of the last 6 months, because again,
we got to get that neck stronger so it doesn't collapse on your throat when you're sleeping.
Well, no, it's my jaw, because when I got braces, they're like, "You're gonna break your jaw." Yeah, because I got an underbite. You know what I mean? Or is that called an overbite? I got over. Anyways, that jaw just relaxes back there, and my neck is so girthy that it cuts off the air because I'm still rocking an 18-inch neck. Because I like the button extenders that's a dude when he has to have the button extender, or it's just open and he has to fill his tie over it so you can't see it. Like, that's how you know the cylinder is girthy. And I'll put it this way. Did a sleep test, boom, sleep apnea, got fitted for retainers. Guess what? Over the last 6 months, put on 5 pounds. So now I go back, I weighed 214, I now weigh 222, and my body fat's the exact same. Boom, Buckeyes. And that's what happened. That's why they do this. Like, they do DEXA scans twice a year. They're constantly looking at all those things. Hey, did you have an injury? What does that right leg look like? All right, we got to get some extra volume on that to catch that up to the muscle that's on your left, because maybe they had something. Like, they're in the weeds of it all. And then you even look at like a Integra Shabola. He went from 327 to 322. That's 5 pounds. But that 5 pounds is a lot when you're 327. Because, and again, I saw him. He's like, dude, this is the first, I finally feel really healthy, because he had some knee problems. But it's also getting stronger, losing weight. Like, all those things matter to allow you to go out and set yourself up for having a great camp. Kudos to them. Kudos to the high GSF of Coach Maradi and the strength staff and Kayla, the nutritionist. Like, they're people. They're in the weeds with these guys all the time.
Two other guys, one Buckeye, one non-Buckeye, that I want to get into in our tailgate talk about gaining weight. One, I mean, the eyes of Buckeye Nation were upon him last week. We'll talk about him and what he's all about here coming up next in our tailgate talk.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks, we build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lakespur Marketing, the proof is in our partners.
Refine your golf swing effortlessly right from the comfort of your home with Pure AV. There's no tee time required. Pure AV's full swing golf simulators capture your every move with precision, while realistic graphics and immersive environments bring the thrill of the greens indoors. Perfect for practice, play with friends, or hosting upscale events. Discover the flawless blend of sport and luxury. Book your consultation today at pureavcorp.com.
All right, now we're going to Tailgate Talk, brought to you by our friends at Real Truck. We answer your questions and get into the fun stuff that's out there. And Schleg's one of the other guys that gained a lot of weight, still listed as a DN, but actually now like a defensive tackle. Had the carry off last week at the end of, I think, Friday, I want to say. You know, I hurt his knee. Maybe it was Thursday, one of the two. Limped off. I think it was Thursday. The next day went inside because I was getting out of there early on Thursday.
That's right.
Was hoping to be back. I think that, you know, he was trending to be back this week, practicing this week and being where he needs to be. But he's a guy that went from DN that was playing D tackle last year, kind of a late move. And, you know, he came in at 270, which is a huge beefy defensive end. Now sitting there at 292. And so, like, Edric has put on the beef and weight that you need to see him. Oh,
look at him.
That's the dude that you need to see. You know, he's a tall guy. You know, he's like 6'3", 6'4", and so that's a good weight for him. Like, he reminds me a lot of like Adolphus Washington being able to play that 3-tech with that height and that.
Oh, that's right. That's a good. I mean, Adolphus had a huge butt. Okay, yeah. I mean, him and Big Hank. I just remember Urban would be like, "Look at that." Look at that size of that thing. But that's what you want from Edric. He's gonna do really well. And another guy that you've mentioned a lot on the show, Bob, Jelani Thurman, lost 8 pounds. But 8 pounds and stronger and faster, that allows him to use his natural ability and body awareness to be able to go make plays. Like, it's just very different. And that's where this all comes into play. Can I still be strong at the point of attack having lost 8 pounds? I know for me, I did not need to be 250. We talked about it on Morning Juice on Tuesday, Bob. I should have been probably 235, 237 because I still needed some girthiness to be able to play inside the box back then. But I didn't need the other 13 LBs because I had to go run with a tight end vertical, and those guys were getting taller and faster by the minute. So again, it's whatever the athlete needs to do to be able to be at his max capacity. And then TJ Alford, man, he's put on 23 pounds, man.
Yeah, it looks good. Looks like a physical piece, man. That's a big piece, man, because he's
Riley, Levin,
and be able to go. All right. So as we're going to put a pin in this, we're going to come back. We're going to wrap up the show with some of your parting thoughts. Here coming up next on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lakespur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks, we build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lakespur Marketing, the proof is in our partners.
Who doesn't love having everything at their fingertips? With Pure AV's smart home automation, you can seamlessly manage your home's audio, video, lighting, security, and more, all with a simple touch. Create a sanctuary that embodies your unique style and personalized features that bring comfort to every moment. Sit back, relax, and let Pure AV bring convenience and control to your home. Visit us at pureavcorp.com today.
All right, Schlegs, you got about 1 minute left.
No, very, very simple, man. I'm not even going to take the full minute. There was some more love for Emeka from Baker. He was on a podcast. I just spit all over my box that holds up my computer here. But here's the thing, and you don't need to play it, Pat. You don't need to play it. But here's the thing. This is why guys come to Ohio State to get developed. Not only is the character level of Emeka off the charts. But his football acumen, the ability just to add value, the ability to play every single position, the ability, what you stated earlier, Bob, the trust of your teammates, the trust of your coaches, the dude on dude, like, no, that's a bona fide dude. We got to get him on the field. From a Mike Evans who's been in the league for 11 years, who's a fantastic wide receiver. He's like, yeah, I want that guy because he's going to allow me to be better. You know, save me some reps, right? Get him the ball. That's what they want. They want more longevity. Like Emeka's the type of guy that can do that, ultimate team guy. But the thing that he does best and that you're still seeing in this wide receiver room is what? I'm going to hang my hat on that I'm going to be the best perimeter blocker. I'm going to hang my hat on that every single route that I run is going to be just like the last is like the first. And that's who Emeka is. And so, again, that is the value proposition of Ohio State. We make you NFL ready because he will be another one of those guys like a Garrett Wilson that, in year 3, year 4, like, boom, here's the big contract. You're there faster because of the value that he adds to the team.
All right, Buckeye Schlags, that's it for today's show. Be back with you on Thursday. I'm going to try to get AJ on for Thurday's show and keep it rocking as we go through the big week, moving week of camp here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Smart home automation has never looked so good. When you visit the Pure AV Design Center, you'll be immersed in the epitome of sophistication and state-of-the-art home automation technology. Flawless design, exquisite materials, unparalleled craftsmanship. You deserve nothing less than the pinnacle of perfection. Discover what you've been missing at Pure AV on Killian Road in Akron or online at pureav.com.